Hey there guys, I am the Six Machine and welcome back to another Warhammer video. The Leagues of Votann Codex must surely be hot on the heels of the Forces of Chaos. We've got Chaos Demons presumably coming up next, but then following on from that I imagine it will be the Leagues. And so GW have decided to grace us with even more model reveals for them, and today we got to see something we hadn't seen before, which is one of their vehicles. And this lovely thing you can see on your screen now is called the Sagittar, which has a very close resemblance in name to the Ordinatus Sagittar from Forge World, so I guess that kind of harkens back to the old Dark Age of technology tech. Make from that what you will in terms of what it may be like rules-wise or anything like that. It probably won't have too much of a similarity, but I did quite like that the naming convention is very similar. The Sagittar itself looks really cool. I really do like the design of it. It's very much a sort of modern day Mars style rover kind of vehicle. I think it's got a very classic NASA-esque design, which I do think works really well for the Leagues of Votann. It looks almost like modern day modern, you know what I mean? And sleek, which in the world of 40k or the galaxy of 40k is pretty much a sign that it is fancy old Dark Age style technology compared to the blocky, square, current vehicles and weapons that the Imperium usually has. It also, based on the little guy you can see in the front, appears to be a relatively small, almost like an ATV exploration style vehicle. They do mention that further on in the commentary about it, so I don't think it's going to be anything super big or like a heavy tank or anything. This is a relatively light vehicle. I can imagine it being around the same sort of size as a Rhino, if not a little bit smaller. But unlike the Rhino, this thing appears to be really heavily armed, and it's almost going to be something like a Razorback, I think, in terms of how it performs on the battlefield. It comes with some front-mounted guns called twin bolt cannons, so presumably some kind of buffed up heavy bolter style profile, you know, 6 shots, strength 6, -1 or -2 AP, and then 1 or 2 damage, I think is what we can expect from that. And then on top, much like the Razorback, this also has a turret weapon, and it can choose essentially a souped up missile launcher, matter-style autocannon, or the truly impressively named high las beam cannon, which is essentially going to be something like a las cannon, I imagine. So I mean, yes, it's not exactly blowing things out of the park in terms of new weapon designs or anything new and exciting. They do seem to be just some fairly classic standard updates of weapons that we know and love from the Imperium, but that's not a bad thing. That is a good selection, and you should be able to kit this vehicle out to be very good at anti-infantry, or very good at anti-elite, or very good at anti-tank, depending on what you think you're going to need it for. And then, of course, again, like the Razorback, this thing can carry your troops in, so this is a transport as well. So it does have a good dual purpose. That isn't always the best thing in 40k, but I do think that this has a good amount of firepower, and also the benefit that the Leagues in general, I assume, are gonna be quite slow. So having that transport to get them around the board is going to be really useful for you. I have to say, in general, I really do like this model. I think it is a great stylistic design that fits in with the Dark Age of technology idea, as well as the design and aesthetic of the Leagues of Votann that they have going on. I'm really glad it's a transport with some actual firepower, rather than just another Rhino or just another Predator. I think for an army like the Leagues, having that dual purpose vehicle is actually going to be a benefit rather than a downside, much like you see with things like the Razorback and the Land Raider. I do think this is going to allow you to get your forces around the board onto objectives, as well as pumping out some fairly decent firepower as you do it. And then the last thing I want to mention really quickly, which I also really like the sound of, is that apparently 2 of these, and remember they come in pairs, or they can come in pairs, 2 of these, it says, can carry a full squad split across both vehicles. So are the Leagues going to have some kind of combat squad style mechanic, or maybe it's going to be the vehicles themselves that have some special rule that allow you to split one unit into 2 before you choose them going into transports at deployment? I think that could be a really interesting mechanic for the Votann and give them a bit more flexibility in getting things around the board, and also getting the most out of your detachment slots in terms of what you want to bring, because if you can split a squad in 2 at deployment, then obviously you can bring pretty much double the amount of stuff in a given slot. Overall, I do really like this vehicle. I think, as I said, it looks fantastic. I really do like the design aesthetic. I think it is going to have some good firepower, and I also think it's going to be really beneficial, as I said, for getting your slow-moving, squat little infantry guys around the board and onto objectives. So I think it's going to be a really useful thing to have in your army and a really cool thing to build and paint up as well. But as always, what do you think of this new vehicle? And will you be adding a few Sagittar to your Leagues of Votann lists? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me, but until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.